So far, so good for Ruben Amorim. We're seeing a slow improvement from each game, and I think that can definitely be shown through the results so far. But so far, so good. And not only are the players learning through each game, but most importantly, Ruben himself, the manager, is learning too. It's been no surprise that out of all the 3 games that we've seen so far, there's been a 3-4-3 shape being played. That's kind of how he done things at Sporting. Effectively how, he's kind of got the job. That is his own style, his own identity as such. And yeah, that's the kind of shape he's still going to be sticking with in this Manchester United team. He certainly thrives on hitting the opposition on the break, real kind of counter-attacking football, which I don't think is traditionally a thing that you kind of associate Man United with. It's something that Man United fans will just have to get used to with Ruben at the wheel now. And certainly in that Ipswich game, he allowed Ipswich to have the ball. He allowed them to come forward, and he would hit them on the break. Use them wing backs well. Dallo would win the ball ideally, come short and ask for the ball if not, and then would look to accelerate going forward. The counter attack would then be on, and they would look to find Marcus Rashford in the centre. And I think Rashford is going to be real ideal to that ingredient of success for Ruben Amorim. If they play him as a centre forward, I don't think he is as effective playing out on the side and the wing. And I've really seen it before under Erik ten Hag. Rashford likes to play that high line. He can still do this with Ruben Amorim because that's how he'll probably play, but he'll certainly have to ask for the ball to come to his feet like Victor Gyökeres did at Sporting. And it will be something that Ruben has to adapt, and I think as a football fan this is where we kind of really kind of poorly judge players at times, certainly when new managers come in. If a player doesn't perform straight away under a new manager, it kind of gets put to slack to that kind of player that's involved. But one thing is being patient. Allow the time for the manager to adapt that player into the ideal player in his shape, because he has a shape and a vision, and he has to work with who he's got, at the end of the day. And that Ipswich game as well, they did pass it around the back. They did get caught out at times, and that is something that Ruben straight away has stopped. He hasn't really allowed any more from happening. The game against Bodo Glimt, we were seeing defenders have the confidence to do them long balls up the field more. And the thing is as well, the wing-backs played such a high line in the game against Bodo Glimt in the Europa League. So yeah, there's that confidence and that kind of task force that Ruben Amorim's put towards his defence, and even Onana at time in goal, to just whack it forward as high as you can. The attackers will do the rest. That's the kind of rule there in that one. There is this ideology with this team on waiting for that front three to make them decisive runs. They normally do move together in a Ruben Amorim team. The front three will kind of mirror each other and run, and the rest of the team, they certainly have to depend on the rest of the team picking out them runs, being playmakers as such, linking up the play with them to try and get them into that kind of half and be on the chance of scoring goals, of course. And in that game, Andre Onana did make out a standout performance, from Ipswich pressing loads. And I think we'll see Onana put to the test a lot more this season. We certainly saw it against Bodo Glimt. Everton did offer that threat as well, but I do think Everton, well, certainly from just talking about Everton here, they could have offered a lot more shots and a lot more challenge against Andre Onana. But more on Man United, of course. That three at the back, that is why, they have so much space to kind of cover up as a three at the back. And I'll talk about it a little later on, but that is something that Man United need to tweak on. So yeah, Onana will come up against one-on-ones more. Teams will feel the need to press Man United, especially teams against like the likes of Liverpool, who do constantly press. They pressed in the Man City game just gone. So yeah, they could get caught out and certainly hurt by this. But I think there is slow improvement on each game so far. In the middle, we have a four. Two are the wing backs, of course, and the other two are the midfielders. And these midfielders do tend to go up as high as they can, get numbers in the box, be a nuisance to the opposition, And I think we should be seeing a holder midfielder happen more. They're kind of, I thought from the Ipswich game they were missing an ideal holder midfielder. So yeah, I do wonder if they could adapt solely on this being Kobbie Mainoo's role in the Man United team. But at the same time, I do understand that in a Ruben Amorim team, group of players in the opposition box being a nuisance, as I call it, that is the key to success. That is the key to scoring goals as such. I just think a holder midfielder, allowing to kind of sit back with the defence, not completely in their line of defence, but certainly sit back, a bit similar to Rodri's role for Manchester City. This just allows that extra midfielder to go forward. It allows the wing backs to play as high as they can or high as they want. And it also just kind of leaves a bit of security when a team will counter-attack and break themselves, because you have all these players going forward. The opposition team will certainly suss Ruben Amorim out to do kind of the exact same as what Ruben Amorim is doing to his opposition sides. You know, they themselves will look to break and counter, because they could easily do this against a Manchester United team. It is only 3 at the back, remember. And there's another side to it as well that I've seen, something that's more kind of a modern intake with goalkeepers this day. Just having Andre Onana play a high line more. You know, we see it with, or we've certainly seen it with Ederson in the past. I know for a fact we've seen it with Nick Pope in the past. Playing a high line, you know, like waiting for these kind of balls to come in that area. You know, if you play higher up and see a kind of 50-50 challenge as such, run and pace to the ball and certainly clear that out there, you know. But I do understand the risk in this, you know. If the player gets around him, then he is left with an open goal. And you're going to concede more goals from it, of course. With the Bodo Glimt game, we saw, the same as well, 3-4-3, obviously. And we saw a clear sign of how Man United's pressing will work. Diallo with a 10 out of 10 performance. I cannot highly rate him enough from what I've seen. Not under Ten Hag at all. Ten Hag did not utilise Amad Diallo that well whatsoever. But certainly Ruud van Nistelrooy did with his little kind of time at Man United. And so far so good from Ruben Amorim. He is utilising Amad Diallo to his peak. But this was the classic case of seeing how the back three does certainly fail, and it is certainly something that a lot of teams don't really bother using this shape and model as such, because Bodo Glimt scored 17 minutes straight after Man United's first goal. I think it was in the 18th minute themselves. Man United scored on the first minute. And that was just through a lack of players having that at the back for there. You know, like Bodo Glimt put the pressure on, and it's something that is such an obvious tactic for teams coming to Old Trafford that they're going to use and play. Ultimately, in this shape, wing-back roles are crucial, though. You know, getting forward as much as possible is what I've mentioned. But I think they are the element of surprise. You know, the opposition will be caught out loads from wing-backs. They're going to be tricky to mark. Dalot and Diallo, quick players as such at times, so they are ideally going to be hard to mark for the opposition. And with this, it allows the centre to quickly come through the middle as well. They'll look to cross it in from the wing-backs role, but getting as many bodies in that box as possible, being a nuisance as such, that is the ultimate aim. But certainly connecting with the three up top. You know, eventually the wing-backs can play 1-2s through this kind of system, or they can find the link-up play with the wingers themselves, and they can cut in through the centre, or even find that kind of target man, the centre-forward role, being Marcus Rashford. But things did need to change in the Bodo Glimt game. In the second half, he went with a 4-2-3-1, allowing more security in the defence. And this really kind of, this ideal shape allowed Garnacho to feel a lot more confident to play with again. He was that more traditional winger in that second half in the Europa League. But it's interesting because players, like I say, players do need to adapt. You know, Garnacho in that first half with the 3-4-3 role, he was playing more kind of centre attacking plays, not in the wing like he's used to as such. It very much alternates with Rashford being pushed out to the side. Garnacho will be the target man, the centre-forward role, makeshift role as such. in the middle. So yeah, it's always going to be alternating and changing, but that is ultimately how you win games of football. And with the most recent game against Everton, a 4-0 win really shows the improvement. You know, in this game itself, they didn't concede. And I will say, and this isn't a dig, it is only Everton. You know, they haven't been scoring all month. I completely do understand that. And I do think from watching the game, you know, if Beto was on more with his shooting ability, they probably would have conceded to Man United. But still an improvement. You know, nothing is ignored there with keeping a clean sheet. But something we're seeing, and why a real kind of defensive and holding midfielder like Kobe Mainoo will be so effective in the Ruben Amorim style of play, is this pivot. In the Everton game, they were pivoting so well with a back five and then a back three. Back five, back three. They were constantly alternating as such with whoever had the possession at times. We're already seeing an adaptation in this game as well, and one that was played really well actually. Xerxes was his kind of role was link-up play rather than scoring in this game. He played a little further back, not as high as what he had been playing all season under Erik ten Hag, but played a little further back, created link-up plays with Rashford and what have you. And yeah, ideally this could really work from what I saw, because I kind of look at Joshua Xerxes and I don't really see him as a typical centre forward in a Ruben Amorim team. Definitely a good striker and forward himself, but it was really interesting to see Ruben Amorim's talents. You know, he adapted Xerxes in that game to be used as link-up play rather than a typical target man up front. I mentioned this earlier on in the video, but the golden rule with this Man United team under the new manager is everyone has to have pace. Dan Ashworth will know this, the sporting director. But, you know, everyone does have to have pace. This is how it works going forward. And, yeah, that will be something that hopefully is understood through their kind of scouting role and transfer action with windows to come with Ruben Amorim, of course. But we saw it in the Everton game. Diallo holding back, reading the game himself. As soon as he sees that open ball, potential kind of interception as such happening, he'll make that clean tackle, pace forward, and is really hungry with the ball. And he'll then play a link-up play with Rashford or whoever is up there to be available for him. It's reading the game for open up potential space. That is something Man United do really well when they're off the ball. That's the kind of ideal shape we're seeing from Ruben Amorim so far. A shape that is working. Certainly has worked against the teams he's played so far this season. I think it's been a nice sort of run to have as your first kind of 3 games as Man United manager. A European game that should be winnable. The first league game against Ipswich should have been winnable. And you know, the game against Everton is just maybe that tiny bit harder than Ipswich or not, but still a winnable game. So yeah, them 3 games are 3 games that are really good to kind of experiment with, being the new manager at Man United. A 3-4-3 does have its advantages and disadvantages, just like any other shape and formation in football. We've seen it change so far tactically in a second half against Bodo Glimt, and it's really interesting and refreshing as such to see Ruben Amorim understanding that it needed a change. For me as well, he does have the task of tackling big personalities in that Man United team. I think something that Erik ten Hag has done well at, and you kind of have to applaud him on with his time as Man United manager, is sorting out personalities. He had the kind of courage to get rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, but ultimately personalities do come and go, and with Man United there's an array of high personalities in this team. So yeah, that would be the next thing going forward as a Man United manager. Off the field, you know, can he tackle or certainly handle them personalities? There are things to work on and things that he will experiment massively going forward as Man United manager. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where things are going. You've already got Rasmus Hojlund feeling so much happier at this Man United team now. You know, he feels this way of playing football that Ruben Amorim plays is something that suits him as a player. Leave a comment down below on your opinions and thoughts so far on Ruben Amorim as Manchester United manager. As a football fan, I'm really excited to see more from Man United this season, without a doubt. Please make sure to hit that like button to show your support, and also subscribe for more content going forward. My name's been Rob. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.